Listen, you got folks spending years studying this foolishness and they didn't learn nothing. You didn't learn nothing. You could have put 2, 3, 4 years into studying functional anatomy. Yeah. And you would have been cooking. You would have been cooking. You really would be able to help folks. But instead, you studied stretching, right? Listen, listen, I want y'all to listen, because I know when I start talking about chakras, some of y'all get mad and start not listening. Listen. You studied postures and you studied stretching, and you were told as you were studying postures and you were studying stretching that this is chakras, right? So you learn two very real, very important things under the guise of gobbledygook. So as you were improving your posture, as you were relieving the muscles, hydrating the spine, and doing certain things that you need to do, you didn't understand what you were doing. Because instead of learning about actual vertebrae, you was learning that there are light balls, you was in fantasy land. These are bubbles of light. And so what we're doing is we're stretching, and this is we're doing the lotus position here. And as we're doing the lotus position, no, you're building posture. You're building posture because you're using isometric holds to build tension inside the muscle. This is why it's important. This is why we have the whole 360 book series. The 360 book series talks about joints, tendons, ligaments. Joints, tendons, ligaments. You have to understand that relationship. That's the first thing to learn about back health. Is the basic structure of how bones and muscles, the relationship. That basic relationship. Ooh, that's delicious. So, in order to keep your bones in alignment, right, you have the muscles holding them in position, right? And for some bones, you have multiple muscles pulling them from different directions, different angles, right? Holding the posture. So as the muscles get weak, or the tendons get weak and the ligaments get weak from either not exercising or poor nutrition, then the bone structure goes. The posture changes, right? The posture changes. And if you're in a stressful, if your body's overstressed like most of the world, you have to have a focused system of relaxing the muscles, right? Especially if we're in a situation where we don't eat our greens, right? People don't eat their greens. Just a fact. Fast food, processed food, we don't eat greens. Greens is where the magnesium comes in. You get the calcium too, but you get the magnesium, right? So just getting that understanding, like, okay, cool, right? And then on the deeper level, we go, okay, well, the bones, we got it. They have to be held in place by the muscles, right? so that they can do what they're supposed to do and hold up the body, right? Yes, but it's not limited to that. Bones are not limited to just holding up your skin. Right? Bones do a lot more than just holding up your skin. Right? That's not all bones do. Right? Bones create your blood. Bones create your immune system. Bones create your stem cells. Now let's go back again. Let's rewind it and then come back again. So the muscles and the tendons and the ligaments are responsible for holding the bones in position so that they can do what they're supposed to do. Well, what they're supposed to do beyond your posture is produce the immune cells and the blood cells for your body and the stem cells that replace all the other cells. So your bones are largely producing the rest of your body. Right? That's just 2 levels right there. Right? That's 2 levels. Then the next level up is where you get to the mind or the soul and the spirit. Right? Because the bones, especially when we get to the spine, right, is what facilitates the nerve function. Right? So everything is connected. This whole electricity thing that people talk about with the food, that's bones. That's your spine primarily. Your spine is the star of the show. The spine is the star of the show. Right? So this is all the information we're supposed to know about the Djed Pillar. Right? We look stupid. Like, oh yeah, I study ancient Egypt. It's Kemet. This, the Djed Pillar. Yeah, that's the spine. Okay. Go from there. Go. Yeah, go. Like Reggie, you the Kemetic scholar, right? All right. The Djed Pillar. The Djed Pillar is the spine. Okay. Go. What you got? No. Once we know that the Djed Pillar is the spine, keep going. How my man Freeway said it? If you from the hood, I know you feel me, keep going. And the things start leaking and the things start working. Yeah, keep going. Keep flowing after that. Once you say the Djed Pillar is the spine, go. Teach us now about the spine. Break down the Djed Pillar. See, that's the difference between just having raw data, right? With the elders, they did the trips to Kemet. Oh yeah, we went through. Now we know what these terms is that we translated it, the words. Oh yeah, Djed. Yeah, this is the spine, the backbone of Osiris. This is symbolic of the bull. Right? Symbolic of the bull. Okay. We got proud for a minute because we like, yeah, black people made that up. Yeah. The dust settles and then we go, what that mean though? Like what that mean? Just don't make me look stupid. Don't tell everybody no, I don't know. I don't know either. Just, Kemet was black. Kemet was black. That's why these guys keep having these same conversations. That's why right now, when there's a drought, they just tune into our channel and steal a subject to discuss. Yeah. Yeah, what Inky talking about? Yeah, we'll just Yeah, we'll just go in off of whatever he's saying. Because they don't have a conversation. They haven't spent any time refining the information. This is what refining the information looks like. Once we find out the Djed is the spine, now we need to understand all we can learn about the Djed, right? What are the different sections of the spine? Are there any differences, right? Is there any difference from the sacral part of the spine, the lumbar, thoracic, cervical, right? When we get to the cervical spine, is there any nuances, to the midbrain, right? The brain stem, because the brain stem is the cervical. And that's another part. Sometimes there's different words talking about the same thing, but just a different perspective. Yeah, so we start talking about brain stem, we're talking about the cervical spine. When you're talking about the cervical spine, you're really talking more about the vertebrae. But so one of the main differences with, we didn't divide the brain and the spine back in the Kemetic days as we do now, right? So the way we do it now, it leads people, most people believe that there's a clear distinction in your body between the brain and the spine, right? But there's not. There's not. Right? So we're going to get into the book. You know what I'm saying? I'm just, excited talking y'all to death. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get into the book. But there's not really a clear distinction, right? Because the spine is white matter and gray matter. The brain is white matter and gray matter. The brain is neurons. The spine is neurons. Yeah. It's just like big snake. Just like a big snake. This why, this is the Uranus. You got the big head, like a cobra, right? And then you got the tail. You know what I'm saying? That's the brain and spine. It's just one thing, really. From a perspective, you can look at it that way. You know what I'm saying? If you so choose, right? You can have your distinctions, right? They made distinctions between the brain and the spine to some extent in Kemet, but not as sharp as we do today. And that's one of the things that, we're working to change in a lot of the different health spaces today, is to see the body as an integrative whole unit, as opposed to so many different separate parts, right? But the brain and the spine, neurons, white matter, gray matter, right? But the thing is, how it's put together, the architecture is everything. How it's put together determines how it functions. And the better your posture, the better it functions. So now what's the function? The function is holding up the physical body, right? What else is the function? The function is producing the cells, right? Producing the cells for the body, the most important ones, right? The most important cells of the body. Blood cells, immune cells, stem cells come from your bones, right? But then also energy and information exchange throughout the body. There are no parts of the body that would be able to function without the nervous system, without the spine and what the spine does for the body, because the spine, the djed, connects all of the different cells and allows them to talk to each other. Which is the first thing that the Greco-Roman fraternities used against you. They said, oh, this is foolishness. These ancient, these Kemetic people, they didn't know nothing about no real anatomy. They were saying that the vessels was talking to each other. That was foolishness. What? Vessels talking? That don't make no sense. Well, well, you know how they say in church, well, we know very differently now. We know very differently now. One of the main things, right? So here's the thing, right? Because on one hand, there's no real information needed. We don't have to have these discussions, books, or anything. We could just say exercise, end of story, done. But the thing is, with anything that we do, right, the gift and the curse of being God's representation down here, right, is that we have free will. We can decide to do a thing. And if we don't have enough information to properly prioritize a thing, we either are not going to do it at all, or we're going to do it wrong.
Listen, technology has vastly changed the impact of our environment on our divine architecture. The structure of our body is literally threatened by our modern day lifestyles. Learn the ancient science of the Djed Pillar, the spine. You might just be saving a life.
Protect your neck. You best protect your neck.